Yo,
Yo, Jamie.
what's going on?
I'm alright. You sound alright, actually. I thought you were dying.
I have, what is this called? Rocky Mountain
AIDS.
Spotted Fever. No, it's this shit that I guess only 50 people a year in New York get it, and I happen to be one of those 50. It's
Ah,
weird. It like comes and it goes. Thank God I had a doctor's appointment because this shit can kill you. Like if it goes untreated, it's lethal. And I went to the doctor and I was like, listen, I said I feel like I'm coming down with like a flu or a fever, but it doesn't like really come. Like it's just I'll be achy or I'll be really tired or my chest will hurt and then it'll kind of go away, then it'll come back. They're like, "All right, we'll have you do some blood work." I get a call 2 days later. "Yeah, you got Rocky Mountain Spotted Fever." I'm like, "What the fuck?
did you make that up?
What the fuck?" I told my mom I had it. My mom said, "No, you don't. What is that? What? No." And I'm like, "No? What do you mean, no? The doctor just called." But yeah, it's
I
another.
like that. You don't have that. What is it?
Yeah. It's a tick-borne illness. It's like Lyme disease. And the other thing is, who gets bit by ticks in the middle of winter? Like, what the fuck? So yeah, I'm on antibiotics and all sorts of stuff. So
Shit.
I'll be
Sorry
all
to hear it,
right.
man.
I'm not gonna have to die or get anything amputated, which is what can happen.
Yeah.
So thank God I had it. I'm so lucky that every time I have something like this go on, I already have a doctor's appointment for something, so I can just go in there and be like, "Oh, by the way, this is bothering me," and then it always ends up being like, "Oh, that little by the way thing you mentioned, yeah, that's really fucking serious, actually. So let's get you taken care of." So I'll be all right. Week on
Well,
antibiotics, and I should be good.
if you do die, at least ratings might go up for the week.
Yeah, although speaking of getting better, might as well do a plug here for the InfoWars Life stuff since we talk about how great it is all the time. I'm going to take some Silver Bullet while I'm at it just to add to the fighting shit off out of
Well,
my system.
yeah, I've been working out to fight depression, just doing lots of weights only to try and build up ready for kickboxing again. Because you want some muscle to take the shots.
Yeah,
It's good to have some muscle there to take
or
shots.
build up
And I
to
took.
take on the jihad you guys are living under.
How dare you? I took some super male vitality and I pumped like I've never pumped before. Like that's the biggest pump I've ever had. And it was like fun. It was like my body wanted more and more. I
Yeah,
wasn't getting tired. And yeah, I absolutely pumped maybe 3 times the amount I would normally do. And that was just a 1/2 dose.
nice.
So I don't know if it's placebo, but I really fucking felt it.
Probably a mix of both. I mean,
And
their
then,
products. I thought the funniest thing I thought after this Parkland shooting thing, and that's one of the things I want to talk about today, is the ongoing aftermath of it. Which I'm sure I've told you my theory before. If something is in the headlines more than a week, chances are it's completely fake news. But
well,
any,
especially this Russia thing too, which is just down the road from me. That's where
yo,
I grew up.
let me tell
I
you
grew up
the
there.
craziest thing I saw. I was reading this headline the other
Walked down
day.
that road many times.
I was reading this headline the other day where there was some journalist who quit at Fox News because he says Fox News is a propaganda mouthpiece for Trump. And his reason for saying that is because they don't go on and on and on about the Russia investigation, which just
Russia.
with which
Russia.
2 weeks
Everything's
ago,
Russia.
2 weeks ago, they came out and they said there's no evidence for the Russia investigation. We're dropping it. The Republicans said. The Democrats are like, "How dare you?" And the Republicans are like, "Well, what'd you find? Like, is there something here, or are you guys just spending money investigating nothing?" Like, and so for someone to be like, "I'm quitting my job because we're not talking about the story that turned out to be nothing," and you dare accuse them of propaganda, all the propaganda pieces are everyone going, "Russia, Russia, Russia, Russian scum," like Keith Oberlin. Like, it's so funny.
A lot of people are buying it in the UK though, until I talk to them for like 10 minutes. And then they're just like, oh, it's probably just bullshit. Like, as
Yeah.
soon as you throw a couple of things their way, like the thing that I say with Russia is where it happened, I grew up.
Hmm.
So just down the road, we got something called Porton Down. And Porton Down is a chemical weapon facility.
Ah.
And it's literally 5 minutes down the road. literally.
Well,
I'm not saying the two are linked, but I just said, don't you think it's a bit weird?
No, well, you want to hear something funny? There were headlines in America a while ago, and in fact, people still think there was this stuff, it was like a artificial cocaine type thing that people were sniffing. It was called bath salts. Now, it's not Epsom salts, it's a completely different chemical thing, but it was sold under this, like, brand name bath salts or whatever, and I've never tried it. My fucking girlfriend at the time and her friends that were all going to school to be teachers, they all tried it because you could just buy it at a gas stations in Pennsylvania where some of them were from. So anyway, it was just a stimulant. It was like Coke. Well, you had a couple of people go fucking crazy in America and like eat off someone's face or something like that, and everyone's like, that's from the bath salts. Well, if you look right nearby those areas, it was all like chemical weapon facilities, animal rabies testing facilities, and it's like, it's far more likely this guy was working at the place where they were trying to weaponize rabies, and he was someone they experimented on that got out. Rabies, you would eat someone's face off of. Far more practical, you were, around the chemical shit. Even the shit I have right now. I had Lyme disease when I was a kid. Still have effects from it. I've looked into it. The shit I have now is another tick-borne illness. All of that stuff is from
Russia.
No, is it Plum Island? It's some place right around the area where they were weaponizing the Lyme virus to be transported by ticks, and it just got out. It was a chemical biological weapon facility, and it ended up getting out, and now people just have it, and now the medical industry can make millions of dollars treating it.
Well, I'll give you my quick
But you're right, it was the Russians. Russia.
I'll give you my rant on Russia. And as soon as I say this, at first people take the piss, and within about 2 minutes they're like, oh shit. So I said Porton down like straight off the bat. I was like, if I was investigating as MI5, I'd personally be looking at Porton down, and everyone going, oh, what the fuck. Now they're naming Porton down. They're doing all the investigation there. Like everything going to Porton down. I was going, that's a bit of a coincidence, isn't it? Like I said Porton down on day one, and now Porton down's actually the centre point of the investigation.
Yeah.
But anyway, this guy, I'm not going to try and pronounce his name, he was involved in the Steele dossier. So I don't know if you remember the Steele dossier.
Yeah, the Russian hookers pissing on the bed Obama slept in, and...
So let's just find common ground with people. I know you're not going to agree on all of it. Like my mum didn't, but at least we could find common ground. We had the Russian election thing kind of blew up in their face. You had the Russian bots blew up in their face. You had the Russian P-gate blew up in their face. So everything's blown up in their face. You suddenly got Russia doing the World Cup. You got Putin's election coming up. And then all of a sudden, do you honestly think Putin's that fucking stupid? Because...
Well, it's like the Assad thing where they said, what does Assad have to gain by gassing his own people?
Well, the thing is there was some kind of exchange where we did an exchange for a spy and we gave them one of their spies back. So this was quite a while ago. It was like 8 years ago. So it's a trade we did. We had one of Putin's spies. He had one of ours.
Yeah.
Just like, right, we'll do you a swap. We did the swap. So why did Putin just leave at 8 years and do it right now? Like right when everything's blowing up in the media's face, right when he's got the World Cup, right when he's got the election, it's Russia. Why didn't he just run the dude over? Why didn't he just shoot him, make it look like a break-in?
Yeah, if everything's going smooth for you, why would you fuck it up? It doesn't make any sense.
Why did he fuck up? I'm not sure. I'm trying to find the story. But is the guy actually dead yet?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't think he actually was. I think he was on his deathbed for at least a couple of days. He's dead now. So you think if Putin did it, I think he would have done it better. Sorry to sound like a sicko, but I just think Russians would do a much better job than that. And they wouldn't be so blatant about it. Why would they put their flag on it?
Yeah.
And then I was thinking, like, I'm no expert, but Putin denies doing it. How could Putin 100% know that it wasn't any of his agencies?
Yeah. Well, it's that...
There's a way of knowing. No, there is a way he could know.
Well, I was going to say anyway.
All you have to do is just pull all the training manuals that he gives to his spies for when they do assassinations, and he'll have a list of the training they do and what's allowed and what's recommended, and they'd get access to weapons being a Russian spy. Maybe that chemical, like Putin says, is just not on his list of anything he gives his agents.
Well, I was
We didn't even use those poisons, which could be true. That'd be the way you'd check. You'd just go through the training manuals and go, do we actually issue this weapon to anybody? And if the answer's no, it's like, well, it can't be us.
Well, I was going to say in general, you see the attitude with liberals, and it's just because they're projecting the world they want to live in. When this shooting thing happened, you had that kid, the kid who's the son of the FBI agent that all the shadiness was focused around, David Hogg. He did an interview that was very telling where he said, we need to hold the governor accountable for what the sheriff does. And it's like, wait, that's not how the bureaucracy works. Like, do you really think the governor is micromanaging every sheriff's office? And they say the same thing about Trump, where they think Trump is overseeing every aspect of the federal government. They think the government's job is to micromanage the other parts of government. So they would think Putin is hand-giving directives to every single spy. Like, in their heads, that's how it works. Because in their heads, they want someone with that much control over everything.
Well, the thing is, just the Russian thing is non-stop now in the UK. That's the only news story. Nothing but Russia, like 24/7. How dare Russia do this on our soil? How dare Russia?
That's how it was over here.
And then Boris wants to go to war with him. It's like, you do know Russia's going to kick our ass, don't you? Like, hello, we don't have an army. Like, I don't want to advertise it to the world, but we don't have an army anymore.
Yeah.
We haven't got a navy. We've got fuck all.
Yeah. I know it's a side point, but I want to bring up this little conversation I had with my mom that I think it almost perfectly explains why I'm not a liberal anymore. And it's because liberal arguments only make sense when they're compartmentalized. The moment you put a liberal position next to another liberal position, you realize you sound like a madman. So my mom goes to me and she says, did you see the new thing Trump wants to do? Well, first, I'll start at the beginning of the story. So I'm talking to a teacher in the next school district over, and we're talking about how they're doing these walkout things and all of this other stuff, and how they've put the kids in charge of everything, and how bad it is that the kids are in charge, and it's the adults' jobs to respond to the kids now. And this woman says, in our school, we got in trouble for giving out too many detentions and reprimanding the minority students. Now, Obama started this, and Betsy DeVos on Trump's cabinet is trying to end it. They have, the federal government, if you give detentions or suspensions or anything like that to black, brown, Hispanic, whatever kids, the federal government will come in, get all your teachers, all your staff, and all your administrators together, and will lecture and browbeat you, saying the only reason you would ever discipline or reprimand a minority student is because you're all racist. You don't understand your systemic, inherent, implicit biases, and blah, 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 blah. And basically, it makes it so if you're a black kid, you could go to school and you could get into fights every day. You could do whatever the fuck you want. And if they try to reprimand you, the school gets in trouble and they get accused of being racist. So, that was the one point. Betsy DeVos is trying to end that. Thank God she's getting accused of being a racist for doing so. But whatever. That then goes into me and my mom, her bringing up, did you see the new thing Trump's trying to do? Now, first off, she doesn't understand how the man works in the first place. The thing she's referring to is Trump is trying to get the death penalty for opium traffickers, like big deal kingpins and stuff like that. He wants the death penalty for these high level drug dealers. Now, anyone who knows negotiations, even if it's basic salary negotiations, always ask for more than you're looking to get, right? Isn't that basic?
Well, yeah, I don't know. It's tricky because I can't say yes because unfortunately, we've got quite a stance that most people, other than America, are actually against all uses of the death penalty. So it's going to be hard to
Well,
Yeah,
hold on. Now,
I know what you mean. It's gonna be tricky.
well, and that's what I'm saying, though, is if Trump asks for the death penalty for these people, the Democrats are going to come out and say, no, we'll not do that. So then he'll say, all right, well, what is the most severe penalty you'll be with? You'll be fine with? You know, again, there's going to be a negotiation. It's not just him coming out and saying, we're doing this or we're doing nothing. That's how Obama operated. And that's, again, why everyone gets so up in arms and thinks, if he said this, it's got to be this, because they're used to dictatorial, tyrannical, liberal presidents. And that's what they like, so that's what they'd expect from anyone else. Anyway, so then I start thinking about this. My mom tells me, well, you know, I'm against it because I'm against the death penalty. You've had friends. I said, Mom, I've had so many friends die from heroin. I say, yeah, kill them all. Kill all the drug traffickers. Stop it coming in. I don't give a fuck. And then she, of course, tries saying, but what about your friend? He's still using. I said, this isn't about addicts. This is is about traffickers. I said, and the reality of it is, I've realized at this point, they're gonna die anyway. Everyone I've had that is on this shit that doesn't stop doing it ends up dead. So
I agree with you, but don't get me wrong, I agree with you, and I probably sound like such a pussy. But if he did sign it, the thing is, he'll just get world condemnation because all of Europe has signed up saying, hey, we're not going to ever use the death penalty, and we're going to go after people that do. Like, regardless of what the crime is, like, you've got to keep it alive.
But, all right. Now, but this leads into my real point. The thing I was saying...
You see my point?
Yeah.
How is he going to get around that? Like, each time he goes to Europe, he's just going to get bombarded with that.
But now, here's the thing, and I think Trump should make this point, because this shows how you know, my mom said, it's my morals. And the thing I realized about liberals, it's not about morals, it's about your feeling of moral superiority. You know, you get to feel good when you say, I'm against killing people. I'm against killing murderers, rapists, you know, and all the criminals. Okay, you're against killing all of them. But you're for a woman being able to kill an unborn child that she only played half of the role in creating, doesn't even need any input from the man. Again, you respect the government, you want a big government, but the 12 jurors, the judge, and all that, you're against them sentencing someone to death, but one woman, on her feelings alone, can kill an unborn child, and that's your morality? How does that work? How do you square away, I'm against the death penalty for criminals, I'm for abortion for unborn babies? It makes no sense.
No, I get that. But the other problem you have is, like, I'm biased because I'm in the British, but I mean, I've worked on people trying to end the death penalty. Obviously, I don't need to go into why. Like, I probably would change my mind if they could implement it better, but they can't do that. And now it's got to a stage where they're finding it tricky to execute people. Like, they can't really find doctors up for doing it.
Well, yeah, because they want to do it in
drugs.
humane
Yeah,
I mean, what the fuck? You think about that even, though. That's so Orwellian.
Hang on.
We need a humane way to kill someone?
But what would worry me... Well, we'll get onto that in a minute. Yeah, you do, kind of.
Let's just bring out the guillotines. Apparently Obama had a stockpile.
But the point is I'm quite glad that these drug companies are having issues getting the drugs to the prison. I'm quite proud of that movement. And I wonder if Trump got this through, whether that would make it easier just to stockpile the prisons with the ability to do it, which then means that other people will end up, who are not drug dealers, like your rapists and your killers and whatever, people that are in your judicial system will end up getting hit with an execution.
I mean, the thing that bothers me is, like, I look at it like this, is Brett, you know Brett, he's been a guest on the show a few times. When he was in an abusive relationship, and there are no battered men's shelters or anything like that, so he ended up having to stay at the respite that both him and I now work at. That's how he got in working for them, was he took them up on their services. But then there was a point in between him getting housing where he had to stay at kind of like a group home type place. And now the place was split up into 3 floors. There was the group home, and then up above them was a place where pedophiles lived. He was telling me every night those pedophiles are up there eating steak and lobster and just hanging out chilling. They get to live their lives. Everything's paid for. They don't have to work a job. They can just, eat lobster and steak all day. I mean, granted, they're on a registry and they have to live in this little area with other people like them and stuff. But it's like, okay, so we're just going to pay to isolate these people and to give them everything and take care of them so that what? So they're not out in society raping kids? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm cold-hearted, but I think if there are people worth giving the death penalty to, it's murderers and pedophiles. I don't know. I'm just...
My personal views, even though I can say this now because I don't work on a campaign, my own personal views were always, it should really be up to the victim. Like, if the victim is up for the death penalty, I'm probably not going to get involved in the case.
Yeah.
But a lot of the times the victims don't get involved, and sometimes the victims don't want the death penalty for the person that did it.
I mean...
That is really quite... You'll be surprised how common that is, where the victim wants punishment, but they think executing is just going too far.
I mean, I don't know. I don't like the idea of us paying to take care of them for forever because they've done something horrible.
What about if the victim of the paedophile is going to be traumatized by the death of the abuser as well? Like, you're hitting a double whammy.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I could see that, but I also, here's the other thing though, and this...
I think it's about 40...
Hold on.
I think it's about 40% of victims don't want their...
This ties into the Parkland thing though, is... Why is there now this, who's the one that has the channel? Maybe it's like 1917L or something like that. It's a really good YouTube channel, but he did a video about the Parkland thing, and he made this point. Funny enough, there was a bridge collapse right around the time I saw the video, but he said, if people were on a bridge and a bridge collapsed, do you really think the news would bring out the survivors to give their recommendations on how to build safer bridges?
Right.
No, because what the fuck do they know about bridges? They were just on one that collapsed. We understand they're irrational. They're the victims, so they're like not the right ones to be giving their advice in those situations. But we do that with, school shooting victims where we trot them out as if they know anything about guns to propose their ideas for solutions and everything like that. I mean, saying what about what the victim feels, yeah, it should be taken into account, but I mean, the victim is not going to be rational because they're the victim. Like, they're emotionally damaged from the scenario.
Yeah, but can you imagine a nightmare Trump's going to face when the whole of the Western world has condemned all uses of the death penalty? He then implies it more. He's never going to hear the end of it when he leaves America.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's a dumb move, because if he goes anywhere...
But like I said, I don't think he's...
I don't know, does Canada have the death
penalty?
I
said, though, I don't think his aim is really for the death penalty. I think he knows, I have to say I'm aiming for 2 steps beyond what I really want.
He knows what his partners feel about the death penalty.
I don't know. I know there are states in here where we do have it.
Do they have it in Canada?
Canada, I don't know. But I mean, it varies. It's not like a countrywide thing in the U.S. Like, certain states have the death penalty and certain ones don't. So it's like, that's one of those things that's on a state level type thing. But I don't...
Maybe we could do that for a podcast. I'm still working on some cases if you want to hear them.
Yeah, I'm down. I'm still... Crazy, but like, I just don't like the idea of us taking care of criminals and rapists forever, and like, we got to do something else. How is
the rest of the world going to look at this?
How's the rest of the world look at him anyway, though? That's the other thing, though. I mean, how's the rest of the world? When he was like, we don't want refugees, we're going to build a wall. I mean, people condemn him on everything. It's almost just like it's something to add to the list.
I can't remember what the agreement is, but we've got, certainly in Europe, we've got, if you want normally to be one of, Britain's allies, you have to oppose the death penalty. I think America's the only country that really gets away with it. That's westernized.
Yeah. I don't know. There's probably stipulations. It's probably not, just cut and dry. It's probably like...
I think it's in our constitution. I think it's in ours that we'll oppose who uses it. It might be in ours. In one of them. We've got so many unwritten ones that... But yeah, I don't get
Well,
I see your point.
I mean,
these people are scumbags. But the other problem, I thought it was just.
Hold on, I was just add in a little side remark. You know, soon your constitution's going to be the Quran, but whatever.
It already is.
I know, well, yeah, that's what we're supposed to be talking about.
Well,
but,
hang on. I mean, do you think it's just a threat at people like the CIA and that?
Well,
who's that guy that Tom Cruise played?
Now, that's my other point. Now, people don't think of it like that and realize when Trump comes out and says, "I want this punishment." Oh, damn it! What the hell? Are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sorry about that. My computer's set on a thing where it goes to the lockout screen. I gotta change. No, I gotta change that. I'm gonna do it right now. But Trump's got, you know. Oh man, that completely threw me off. What the fuck was I saying?
Yeah, you want to set Trump up to never hear the end of how he's breaking all the human rights treaties we've signed.
Yeah, but I like I said, I think he's kind of got an overball with. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. People don't realize when he's talking about these high level like drug traffickers and kingpins and everything like that. You're talking about like the Bush family. You're talking about like the Clintons. Like when Clinton was running Arkansas, there were so many private airports opened. Like you're not talking anyone we know the names of or anything like that. We're talking about like high level. Like
so you got Barry Sills, you know he's guilty, you willing to execute the guy?
Huh?
So let's say you got Barry Sills, you catch him. Are you going to kill the guy?
Depending on what the charges are and everything like that. I mean, here's the thing, you know.
That's a good example.
You know, in the States, like we already have it where if someone is selling like heroin that's cut with fentanyl, which will kill people and has, you know, they'll find out which batch it is and everything like that. They already charge people with murder for it. So
yeah, I think so, yeah.
So it's just kind of expanding that where he now wants it to be a capital punishment crime. Because again,
so let's say you do get them, and like, what are the chances that we're going to have to dig deep into CIA people and then find out that they're victims because the CIA are blackmailing, threatening to kill their family? And then do we still execute them? Because we know that you don't get into CIA drug dealer, just get into CIA. There's going to be a massive backstory into how this.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I think it's more of a drain the swamp move than it is like a clean up the streets of America type move.
Well, this is what I like about...
I mean, even... Hold on, let me just add it in real quick. Even one of the Bush members said, if the people found out what we really were doing, we'd be hung in the streets. So, I mean, imagine if they come out and say, oh yeah, the whole war in Afghanistan, it was actually just to take over the poppy fields. That's why there's this giant heroin epidemic, because the Bush family decided to open up shop and everything. I mean, do you really think the American people aren't going to call for the Bush family's heads? Like, they know they're going to get... That's why they said we'll be hung in the streets. I think it's going to be people like that. Like, you're going to see...
Now, treason's a tricky one. I'm not sure if we actually... You might have a good argument. I'm not sure if England still has the death penalty for that. We might. I think that's debatable.
And that's what I'm saying. I think it gets into
we might not kill you in this country. It'll probably take you somewhere else.
I think it gets into the specifics of it. Like, what level is it at that will call for that? And like, again, I don't think anyone on a street level is going to get the death penalty for anything heroin related. It's going to be people flying it in. And that might even get tricky because some of them will probably be international citizens and stuff. It'll probably be, you know, Mexican citizens and cartel members and stuff like that.
Yeah, and they're gonna, like, you can't execute a British person who's got a British passport.
Yeah,
going to be entitled to British consular services.
But even like I was saying before, I don't think the death penalty is the real aim. I think he's overballing so that it will get walked back a few steps.
I just think it's a dumb thing to say because he knows it's going to piss a lot of people off, especially people outside the UK, Western. Outside the US, Western. And be like, you're doing what?
But I think in America, you know, here's the thing I have to look at is I balance it against how many friends I've had die from heroin, and if this could maybe lessen that. And I care more about my friends than some dickbag who's ruining lives and getting a mansion out of it. Like they're selling people death and they're getting tons of money out of the deal. Like, what else is a better solution to that? Oh, let's lock them in a cage for a while, as if that's gonna do something to them. I mean, even if you get a murder sentence in America, you can get out in like 20-something years with good behavior.
Well, that's what Trump is going to do. He's going to put them on a death row sentence and then get them to plea bargain. That would be the aim. So they plea bargain and then grass other people up, and then they get spared if they grass everyone else up.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it pans out. But my main point was, I think it's very.
And I'm sorry to sound offensive, but that is if the USA wants to fix their court system, that's the biggest problem. If they can just take that out of their law,
the bargaining
most of
and
their
the
prison problems done. Plea bargaining has to be 100% not on the books.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, my main issue is the idea.
You can't take a statement for someone that's trying to save their own skin.
Yeah.
And then use that against somebody else. It's crazy.
Well, like I was saying, my main issue is the idea that liberals think they have some sort of moral position when they're saying we can't kill criminals and rapists, but we can kill unborn babies because a woman fucking feels like it.
Sure.
Like, that's where it's like, okay, if you want to be pro-life, let's be pro-life across the board. Like, don't try to give me this.
What about your libertarian views that you want to reduce state power, not give them flipping gas chambers and electric chairs?
Well, and that's
the other thing.
now.
At least find a better way
hold
to
on.
execute them, at least, like a fucking electric chair.
Hold on.
What's wrong with you people?
The other thing I had said is I said this to my mom. I said, well, maybe we should take the view of Portugal and realize that prohibition doesn't work. I said, now you'll get into a trouble where, again, your views don't align because you'll have liberals say the war on drugs is no bad, prohibition of marijuana is bad, this, and that. But
that's a good argument.
We need gun control. We need to prohibit guns. We need to prohibit and it's like,
leave it out, Jamie. Leave it out, mate.
That's why I can't be a liberal. There's too much inconsistency where it's like, if I hold a position, I like it to be applicable in all areas. That's why the libertarian thing kind of works, because it's like, that's not my fucking business. Like, you should just leave it alone. That should be for the people to decide on their own, or the states. I'm a big advocate of returning power to the states and the old saying, you vote with your feet. If there's a state where they say we want drug traffickers to get the death penalty and the next state over doesn't, fine. Everyone who's like, I don't want to be anywhere near drugs, will move to the place where it's a capital punishment, and everyone who doesn't can go to the next one over.
Throw your way that curveball. If you're a drug dealer and they go, right, Trump puts this free, let's say he does put it free, he never will, but let's say he does, then everyone's just going to fucking do drug dealing outside of those states.
Yeah.
So then you're just going to flood other places that didn't have a problem beforehand.
Yeah.
So everyone would just leave Texas. There'd be no drug dealing going on in Texas. They'd be like, fuck Texas.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like that, where you already have, you have states where marijuana is fucking recreational and you can just buy it and it's taxed heavily, and then you have states where it's medical, and then you have states where it's still very illegal. Like, and the problems we're having with that now is when you have banks that operate in multiple states, because it's like, you can't have a marijuana dispensary in California, make all this money from selling pot, and then go and invest it in a state where it's still highly illegal, because then that's like money laundering and stuff like that. So, I mean, that's why I say,
in the UK, I mean, it's completely illegal here.
That's why I say I think the prohibition on some of the stuff should end, and when you get rid of the prohibition, then the black market value just plummets, so it decentivizes the drug trafficking and everything like that. I mean, I thought it was crazy. There's this herbal stuff. It's related to coffee, kratom, that people have been using as a herbal replacement to opiates. Our FDA person just came out a few months ago in this crazy doublespeak where he said kratom isn't an opiate. It's not meant to be used in place of painkillers. It doesn't do the same thing as opiates, this, and that. But because it acts like an opiate and does the exact same things as an opiate, we need to make it illegal just like opiates. And it's like, wait, what? how did you just say it's not one of these? We can't use it to replace these. It shouldn't be viewed as one of those, but we're going to view it as one of those. It's just as dangerous, so we need to make it illegal because it's so much like them. Like, it's you want it both ways, and it's ridiculous.
On a side note, have you ever had any drug addictions?
Yeah.
Which
Yep.
ones have you had?
Opiate problems.
That street opium or?
Well, no, you can't get opium around here. Mine was mainly like prescription painkillers, like Oxycontin, Percocet, stuff like that. I mean, I've done heroin when I couldn't get other things, but I was never real big into it. Never shot it though. I'm afraid of needles. But yeah,
I smoked it twice in my life.
Yeah, I've done.
I don't really like it.
I've done all sorts of drugs. That's why, like, I'm good at my job I have now, where I'm working with people in recovery and stuff like that, and you know, trying to help.
I don't think I've ever had any addictions before.
Well, and that's that.
I've experimented a lot.
Yeah, that's the thing with me, where a lot of my friends who have been like hardcore addicts, I mean, they would, you know, commit crimes to get drugs and stuff like that. I never got that far. Thank God. I've always been able to.
A lot of cocaine isn't a lot of cocaine. Like from when I was like 7, maybe I was probably actually too young, maybe 15 to 25. Like I didn't have a problem with cocaine. So, but the most I'd do is like 2 grams over a weekend, like never on a weekday. Might have done it once in a week.
Yeah,
or something.
I mean, some people. I had a friend who, I mean, he went into the service and everything like that, but for a while he was doing like a basement waterproofing job, and on Fridays he would pick up a 12-pack and an 8-ball. He wouldn't do the whole 8-ball himself. It would be him and whoever he was hanging out with and whatever. And Friday was just his party night, and it was contained to Friday. At one point, it expanded out to Saturday, and then when that expanded out to Sunday, then he was like, all right, I need to cut this, join the military. Now I think
We should do that one time. We should do cocaine stories, because I've got like 100 cocaine stories. Like,
I've got.
They are pretty funny.
Oh man, we'll have to bring Brett in on that episode. Me and Brett have some crazy drug stories. I mean,
yeah, you
like,
think you're Superman. You think you're a gangster.
oh, we've had it where we would smoke PCP and go out on Halloween, like trick or treating and stuff, and like all sorts of bugged out stuff. Yeah, there's.
I'll tell you one. I'll only tell one. I was at one bar, and I hadn't done it for it. Like I was pretty much clean at the time. I wasn't really into it. And my friend owned this bar, and he was from, he was Persian. And I've got a big mouth, right? Everyone knows I've got a big mouth. And there were these Colombians sat behind us. He's going, Paul, whatever you fucking do not fucking engage that table. They're Colombian mafia. They fuck people up all the time. So what I did is I went straight over there. I sat on their table, just put my drink down, and went, come on, get your coke out then, lads. This is a joke. And yeah, they did. He pulled out this massive rock of coke. And yeah, we just ended up, we were like friends ever since.
I had it where for a while I was selling it for a guy who used to drive down to Mexico to get it. Like just straight across the border, then would drive back up.
I always found out these people that had reputations for being dangerous were normally some of the sweetest people.
Yeah. Oh, if you're on...
Whenever I heard this guy's fucking dangerous, I'd be like straight on his table going, oh, hi, I hear you're really dangerous. And normally when I hear that, they're really cool people.
Yeah, I've had... My friend Cans, he's a rapper. He actually spends a lot of time over in France now recording with people over there. He, you know, such a reputation for being a gangster and fights and shootouts and all sorts of shit. Sweetest person you could ever fucking meet if you're on his good side.
And then I see him on a 10 o'clock news like 5 years later for doing like the massive big drug operation.
But the thing
I used to drink with that guy.
I don't know if it's just because I grew up in the hood, but I've always had the mindset where it's like I'd rather be around those people because there's almost like a code of honor that regular
It's like
people
a family,
don't have.
yeah.
Yeah.
They really look
Where it's
after
like, you know not to screw them over, because if you screw them over, shit's gonna get real. So you don't. And they don't do that to you either. Like, there's no real...
That's what I realised when I was in Reading. Like, I stopped talking about it, but a lot of my friends were psychos, and I kind of felt like they were like my bodyguards, like I was untouchable in my town, because... Fair enough, they pick on me all the time and beat me up, but if anyone else tried it, they would actually die.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
And
that's...
my town was like really rough, so sometimes I'd be like, I don't like when I go out drinking, I don't always need my friends around me. Sometimes I chill at the bar by myself because it's a good way to pick up girls. Just chill at the bar, and you just have it looks like you know loads of people there.
Yeah.
And it's one. I remember these black kids just pushed me out their way, and like it was like, dude, don't push me. And it was like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? It's like, dude, you don't know who I'm with. And I was like, oh, really, really. And the next thing I know, I mean, one of these dealers, I mean, they are hardcore. When they say they're dangerous, it's kind of true because he'll, like, 10 people is like a good number for him to have a fair fight. Yeah, like he is. So, but that's why I left because I think it does give you an ego, that drug. It does definitely make you a bit of an asshole. But yeah, we digressed massively into cocaine stories. We should definitely do. We got to do that. We'll get in the JD.
Yeah, we'll do that someday.
Like, fucking crazy.
All right.
Cocaine stories.
Well, let's talk about Britain and
cocaine stories.
Your black
DMT stories, LSD stories.
Oh man, I got them all. Well, I don't have DMT stories, but anyway,
the only thing I want to add, which you might be able to help me with, is like my weed addiction. Like if I couldn't, because it's illegal here. If I've only got one contact. If he goes, like, I'm fucked. Like, how would you find a new weed contact? Would it be that easy to do? I don't know.
I don't know over there. Over here, it's pretty easy. They just sort of come to you. But let's talk about the de facto blasphemy laws you guys are living under. Because
let's just sit in silence.
I might as well. I'm gonna feel bad if we do one of these podcasts, and next thing you know, you get a knock on the door.
Yeah, I don't care.
But I mean, the banning of everyone and all of this other stuff, like
this is a big subject, so brace yourself. Like I've got a lot on this because it's getting like I'm actually getting scared now. I'll be honest, I'm getting scared. And I've got a big mouth and I censor myself and I'm scared about saying stuff now.
I'm surprised the government hasn't gone around and issued like what is it called, like eviction notices. Like how has England not tried to evict Jack Buckby and Tommy Robinson like from the island? Like
well, Tommy Robinson's what's really bad. Like they put him in jail over nothing, and France put his wife in jail. Like he did do jail time over paperwork that's wrong on his mortgage.
Yeah, I remember hearing.
You know that,
yeah,
he did actually go to jail, and they tried to get him in.
And they tried to kill him in jail a couple times. Yeah.
Tommy's like, I didn't know about Tommy. He was a multi-millionaire way before he did this. He's a smart guy. He's not just like some dickhead. Like he was worth a lot of money, and he lost all of his businesses. He owned 7 houses.
Yeah. I remember when a while back I had like gone through and listened to old speeches of his and stuff, and how he told his whole story, like the whole run through.
Yeah, so we've had Tommy Robinson for quite a while. Then we had the thing with Lauren Southern and Brittany.
Yeah.
What's her face?
Pettibone.
Where they actually threw them in jail.
Yeah, Lauren, and they tried getting her on terrorist charges.
Terrorism charges, yeah.
I mean, of all the things.
We got hit with... This is all within like 10 days.
Yeah.
As well. We then got the Nazi pug that's been going on for 2 years now.
Yeah.
And he's going to go to jail by the looks of it. I'm sorry to say that, but looking at the verdict he got, he's probably going to go to jail next month. So the judge adjourned it again, and he wants to do that to get a recommendation from the prison service. So if he's looking to get a recommendation, he's probably getting that recommendation to back up his sentencing. So it's not looking good for that poor Scottish guy, even though it's been going on for 2 years. A Nazi pug, have you seen that?
Yeah. It's just.
And the British courts actually said, like, I'm not exaggerating. This is what they said. They believe that pug is trying to raise the Fourth Reich.
Oh,
You're laughing.
Man. I know.
That's honestly what they're saying, because it's just a cute dog, but behind the scenes there's this network. It's not human. There's no way it can possibly be a joke.
Yeah.
And this pug could end up, gassing Jews or anything.
Yeah, I guess.
Or what if it goes on holiday to Poland?
How do people try to make these arguments and take themselves serious?
Well, the other thing is we've had Rochdale. That got no coverage at all. Like nothing was done about Rochdale for 20 years. I don't know if you know, but we've had another Rochdale, which was in Telford, a small town. The population's under 20,000. Over 20 years, 1,000 girls have been raped.
Yeah.
So that's, if you do the maths, that's like 10% of the population
Yeah.
of the town. And then if you think Telford, I don't know if you know, it's quite a small town. Rochdale's a really small town. We're getting in Oxford of all places. Like every single small town's getting named that they had these grooming gangs. Well, when are they going to look into the areas where Muslim population's bigger, like Birmingham, Luton, Manchester?
Yeah,
So if it's happening in these small towns, it's probably just this is the bit that's getting leaked out. But as soon as they start looking into Birmingham, the numbers are going to be. I mean, I don't want to exaggerate, but I think if it is going on in Birmingham, which I think it's safe to say, it probably can't just be these little towns.
Well, I mean,
If you add Birmingham and Luton, you're probably getting the numbers into the millions.
what was the one, the Rutherford, or what was the
Rochdale?
And I feel like there was
first.
another one though that was a grooming scandal a few years back, and there was like thousands of girls and stuff.
Yeah, that was probably the Rochdale one.
Maybe I feel like it was a different name of a place though. So I mean, it's all over the place over there. Like, and the thing is the networks are probably connected too. Like,
well, the police were told not to investigate it because they didn't want to be deemed racist, and it went on for 20 or 30 years.
yeah,
So they've got no problem protecting that. And then if people want to speak out about it like Tommy Robinson does, it's not going to happen. So we had this big march at Speaker's Corner where Tommy Robinson delivered Britney's boyfriend's speech. And these Muslims turned up, and one of them turned up is on video, it's like gone viral, who goes, I don't understand what the problem is, why people got such a bad perception of Muslims. And then 10 seconds later is hitting a woman with a stick. And the police won't arrest him.
yeah.
He did that in London at Speaker's Corner. He hit someone with a stick.
Self-awareness
Like, I
isn't
don't know
their
if you know,
strong
like
point.
in England, you'll get arrested for anything, any kind of public nuisance. You'll get arrested.
Yeah.
For it. But if you hit someone with a stick, that's completely fine.
Well, if you're the right, religion affiliation, you seem to be able to get away with nearly anything.
If you go on Google, you can see like loads of police are like threatening all the time, going, we're looking on Twitter, if we get any hate speech, we're going to come arrest you. And now they've released a law, which isn't a law, like I'm probably going to fuck up explaining this, where they can arrest and charge you for hate speech, even though there is no law for hate speech. So they put like a rule in that's going to be enforced by the law, even though it's not a law.
Yeah. We have that over here. It's like coding and zoning and regulations, and it's like subsets of laws that aren't real laws and stuff like that.
Yeah, this isn't even that. Like we've got statutes and acts. It's not even a statute.
Yeah, like statutes and acts. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even covered under that. It's just a thing. I'll send you a link later. But basically, police going, we've got this thing now where if you do hate speech, we can enforce the law on you. It's like, how? And then you see that they're not fucking about. They do.
Yeah. I don't know. There's one person I follow on Twitter that's always posting these memes, and they always post the caption like, England is no longer a serious country, and it will be like, the police at the pride parades and like all this other stuff where it's like the police are really there to just sort of enforce liberalism on everyone rather than enforce laws, like to promote certain social causes, to protect minority groups and hate speech laws. And
well, when you compare it with what's happening on Facebook, what's happening with Twitter, and then you look at our BBC, they can cover the Russian story for like 2 weeks in a row. They won't touch Telford.
Yeah.
They won't even touch the story. And now they're saying it was Asian men.
That's the other thing they do, yeah.
It's like, so it's Sikhs, Chinese, and a Japanese, is it?
Yeah, right?
And like even they're getting pissed in the UK now. They're like coming up going, stop fucking saying Asians, you cunts.
Yeah.
It's blatantly not Asians, is it?
Well, I knew that was going to happen. We have it over here now where now they're talking about how Asians now have white privilege because they realize the idea that this constructed idea of white privilege that, you have to be white to get ahead, that Asians blow a hole in that whole, way of looking at things. So now they're like, oh, well, Asians have white privilege too, because they have to be able to keep the myth going.
Well, what do we do in England? I mean, imagine if you've got a job and you work in an office. Conversations come up all the time about current events. Can't say anything.
Yeah.
And it has this complete, like, mass hypnosis when you go out in the streets now. That you see, like, everyone's afraid.
Well,
no one wants to say anything.
It's the chilling effect.
Yeah, if you're in the office now, it's not fun anymore because you've got to tread on eggshells around every minority. You can't just like go, hey, you fucking Pollack. Or, do you know what I mean? You can't even have a laugh anymore. Or like do an Indian accent to your Indian mates, which is, do you know what I mean? That's what England was about. You just take the piss out of everyone, take the piss out of ourselves. And now you can't even do that. You can't even riff with people at work.
Yeah, I know. That's what it's like when I hang out with any of my friends that are black. It's just constant riffing and, taking digs at each other, but it's all in good fun, like it's a bonding experience. It's not to be hurtful or anything like that. It's ridiculous. I mean, they're trying to tear humanity apart, like, and attack anything that people use to bring each other together, and just dividing everyone. And like I said, it's in
and they're going to censor Easter. They're going to.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Now it's just another holiday. Like, getting rid of all the holidays, and I mean, it's looking like Sharia and Islam is gonna be the one world religion at this rate. It's gonna be the only one that's allowed to be practiced.
Well, we're under blasphemy laws. And do you remember when Paul Joseph Watson posted that video from Germany, from that soap opera, where the mum converts to in front of his child?
Yeah.
And it's just everywhere now.
When the kid's like, what's another word for God? And the mom's like, oh, Allah. Allah, Islam is beautiful. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
But it's not just that. We also had, who's that Michael Savage? He got banned from the UK.
Yeah. I don't even know what he did specifically.
Yeah, he spoke something bad about Islam now and then. So that's enough to do it. Trump is technically banned, isn't he, really? Let's face it, from England.
Michael Savage's big thing that he would always say is, a country is defined by borders, language, and culture. Those are his 3 big points. And I would see...
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. I would see England enforcing its borders and not letting Lauren and Brittany in. Fair enough. Enforce that law, but make it across the board.
Yeah.
Like, why are we allowing an Imran who's banned from Pakistan? He's allowed to preach.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll take in all these.
So I'm up for having the borders and sending people home, even if it means sending Lauren home. Sorry, Lauren, but as long as it's across the fucking board.
Yeah.
And it looks like they were ready for him. They could do all these checks, but they can let all these hate preachers and all these ISIS fighters in. Can't stop them.
Well, and that's the other thing too. There was that headline a couple months back about the amount of returning ISIS fighters that are just in the UK, and how they thought it was a couple hundred, and it really turned out to be thousands.
Yeah, and you think how small our army is? That's quite a problem.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's going to be people are going to beg for an EU army to deal with it.
It's I wonder sometimes if that's the goal, where it's like a fire that they're just trying to keep going and
it's
nurture
spread in
until
places you wouldn't think it would spread. Like Ireland's getting mass rioting now from just black youths. I mean, I hate to say it, but that's what it is. They're just absolutely burning the towns down.
Yeah,
and that's Ireland.
I didn't know about that.
No, I didn't know. I'm seeing a lot on that now. Type in Ireland, and they've got Ireland 2040 campaign where they want to increase this by a mass amount.
Yeah,
Jesus.
Europe is in trouble. I mean, it's been in trouble. It just seems to keep getting worse and worse and worse, though. They're not doing anything
No one I know talks about it. Like, nobody wants to talk about it.
It's probably too depressing. You know, I did that video where I said, like, do mental disorders come from liberalism? And this is sort of what I was getting at, where it's like you were saying, people won't talk about things. They're petrified. They're paranoid. Like, they might say the wrong thing and offend the wrong person. Or over there, they might say the wrong thing and get arrested and brought up on charges. You know, you make a video with like a little pug doing a Nazi joke, and next thing you know, you'll be tied up in the court system for 2 years.
Yeah, and you can't get a job. And then you face jail. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, I mean, Lauren Southern on terrorist charges. That's so nuts.
Well, the other thing is a lot of the Muslim charities, I mean, there's Muslim charities that are meant to go around and talk to Islam about grooming and how bad it is. And then you ask the Muslim charity how many victims have you spoken to. It's like none. So you get the spiral where the Muslims do the grooming, and then the charity, then they get taxpayer money going to Muslim communities to talk about the problem they caused.
Yeah. Well, it could just be like a
financial gain in doing it now.
Yeah.
Because they get millions of pounds to like set up these Islamic grooming centres where this woman will go around and get paid a fortune to talk to taxi drivers about grooming. It's like they obviously don't give a shit, do they?
Yeah. It's just.
You think, sure, and then the white groups that actually want to house the children and move them away from the areas, they don't get any help whatsoever. You've got Sikh communities that want to deal with it and have help centres. They don't get any help at all.
I don't know. It's how do you like? I don't even know what they would do to be able to deal with a problem that's getting this large and widespread. And I mean, you'd either have to build completely new prison structures to just arrest everyone, or.
Well, when you read the Rochdale, like some of them, the white parents knew where their kids were. The Islamists would phone the parents whilst they were raping them.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So the parents would go down. Their father and the son would be raping them. So the parents can hear the child on the phone. They would go around the house to rescue the child, and then the parents would be arrested and the child was put in care for being a druggie. You didn't know about that? That's how bad.
No.
That happened quite a lot, yeah. And the Sikh community have been dealing with it a lot longer than what the British people have apparently in England, and they're a lot more hardcore about it. They just go around and smash people's heads in. So the Sikhs have really joined up with a lot of the football hooligans.
Yeah.
They've become like absolute allies now.
Actually, you know
Yeah,
what?
so
Hold on.
want to
Brett
deal with
mentioned that to me. Brett mentioned that this past weekend, actually, where he said that there were. But I think he was saying, you know, there's Middle Easterners and Muslims and stuff who are joining up with the football hooligans and trying to stop the radical Islam stuff and everything. I think that must have been what he was getting at when he was like talking about all that. But yeah, he was saying that, talking about that going on over there. Because he's real big into all the soccer hooligan stuff. And
Right, yeah.
yeah, I mean, what else?
Well, they're becoming quite political now. They're getting quite a lot of steam. I mean, UKIP's fucked. I mean, Jack Buckby's doing a lot of work for that. Was Jack with Tommy for the speech?
I don't know.
I'm not sure if I saw him on camera. I'm pretty sure I saw him there in the car with Tommy.
Probably. I know he works with him
Yeah.
as a researcher.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Tommy's like the hero of the UK.
Yeah.
He might have to run for Prime Minister.
At this rate, he's got to do something. Someone's got to step up and handle this issue.
There isn't anybody. We haven't got anybody at the moment. UKIP's completely blown up.
I mean, I just wonder, like I said, how do you deal with a problem like this? Like,
Easy. I can deal with it in 10 days. I'll get arrested for mention. Do you want to hear what I would do?
Sure.
There's only one thing you can do. What you do is you put England on a lockdown for 10 days. And the first thing you do is you raid all the no-go areas.
Well, yeah.
And anyone that's remotely suspicious, we humanely deport them. And what I mean by that is we'll buy your property off you, we'll give you 10% more than what it's worth, any tax you've paid we'll reimburse you, we'll even give you like £2,000, £5,000 for when you get back home, we'll pay for your flight, and we're going to nicely get you the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
You're not going to be out of pocket, we're not going to steal your property or anything like that. You're going to have to go. All these people that are on the terror list, they're going to have to go with their families and just get rid of them over 10 days.
I mean, and my guess would be even that most of them haven't even paid much in taxes or anything like that.
Yeah, we'll still give you money to leave. Like, we don't want to be cunts about it.
Yeah.
I'm sure lots of innocent people will get caught up in it. That's going to be harsh. Feel sorry about that. And we've really got to start questioning people, make a choice: are they Islam or Western?
Yeah. I mean, and it's
Just ban Islam, just ban it and do a 10-day lockdown.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, they're going to have to accept, kind of like in America, where you have one guy with an illegal gun shoot up a school, and next thing you know, everyone who follows the gun laws ends up having more laws placed on them. It's like, sometimes the bad apples...
asking for martial law, aren't I?
Well, I mean, there are times where it is necessary to deal with certain issues. I mean, we've been under martial law since the start of the year, but it's been to deal with the human trafficking and pedophile stuff, where Trump has the laws where it's like, if you're caught human trafficking and stuff, we can seize all of your assets and everything like that. We've been under like extra military judicial powers since the start of the year. It hasn't, you don't see tanks in the streets or anything like that, but it's because it's being used in a proper manner, because they know someone like Hillary Clinton. Do you really think if you brought Hillary Clinton to court in DC that like she wouldn't be able to buy off the jury and everything? We're going to need military tribunals for these people. It can't be the normal court systems.
What do you think we could safely round up a lot of them in 10 days? Especially all these 3,000 returning fighters. They should be number one.
Yeah.
That's 3,000 already. And then once you start doing it, I think Islam will start going, oh shit, these guys are for real.
Well, and the other thing is...
start tidying it up a little bit, going, well, I don't want to get deported.
Yeah.
Maybe I should start thinking.
Either that
or...
Am
I going to get deported to? An Islamic country? Oh, great. It's like, why don't you want to go to an Islamic country? You like Islam. And I go, actually, I'm going to be Western. It's like, okay, you can stay.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm prepared to be reasonable about it. And like, I don't want to be a hit. Like, you can be Muslim and stay here. But you're going to have to tone it down a lot.
Well, it's one of the things I've always said, where it's like, if you're going to function in a free and Western nation, like how religious you are, the people who function the best are most likely the lesser religious. Like,
yeah, and then once we've done that, we actually put a border up and we do a point system.
Yeah. That's what we need to do here in America, where it's like we've just been taking in everyone, and the other thing is, in some of the countries,
the only thing is, where can we dump them? Australia or something?
Oh man, have Australia go back to being everyone's dumping ground for the deplorables.
Yeah, but seriously, where would we dump them? That's the only thing I can't, like, it's like, where would we put them?
I don't know. I mean, have you kept up on any of the stuff that's been going on in South Africa? That just reminded me of it.
Oh God, I've given up.
I don't even know what it is. All I know is it's bad.
Yeah, well, the Prime Minister and the Defence Secretary have said that it's okay to kill white farmers for their land, and a lot of the white farmers have just left.
Yeah.
And the murder rate's through the roof. All their property's been seized, and the government is going to seize all white farmer land.
Yeah.
So it's going to end in a genocide, quite obviously.
I mean, it's, I was talking to it at work the other day with this guy, and I realized, like, it's nearly impossible to talk to anyone around here who's black, because they have this two wrongs make a right, this is us getting you guys back type attitude, and it's like, can't we deal with things issue by issue? Like, I don't have this whole attitude that whoever was on the land first owns the land. Like, this idea, oh, we stole the land from the Native Americans. The Native Americans were warring with each other over things. Like, I hate the noble savage idea. The idea that, like, you have barbarians who are actually noble about things. Like, it's so obnoxious.
Yeah,
like,
but the thing that's worse is the American takeover was probably one of the most humane ones.
yeah.
Even though it was barbaric, out of all of them.
Well, the thing I always say is,
#1
it wasn't Americans that invented scalping. We weren't the ones that were chopping off the tops of people's heads and keeping them as trophies. That was the Indians.
No, but he gave them smallpox blankets.
I don't even know about that, because germ theory wasn't invented back then.
Yeah, I know.
That's one of the other things, where all they kind of have is, like, this one note where someone was like, oh yeah, give the Indians the blankets from the infirmary. And, like, that's all there is that's based off of, and it gets warped into this wild conspiracy of, like, bioweapons back way before we even knew what germs were. Like, it's one of those things where us looking at it from where we stand now, we bring certain things into the equation that we take for granted that they had no idea of back then. Like, one of the things I had said to someone that was kind of like is I said with feminism, I said, women didn't want to work. They had to be convinced that they should work. And they said, well, why is that? Didn't the people in power want them out, like, not working? I said, do you really think the people in power didn't want to double their tax base? And the person was just like, oh my God, I never thought of that. I said, yeah, the government were the ones that wanted the women working. They doubled their income as soon as they got to work. The women didn't want to. Everyone was doing fine. It was the government that wanted the extra money from women to be working. When the women are at work, the government gets to step in and take care of the kids. The ultimate benefactor of feminism was government.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to sound like, I don't know, I can't even believe I'm admitting this, but I struggle with black people, to be honest with you. And it's got to a point where I might give up.
I mean, I don't think I struggle with them. I think just when certain topics come up, because it's like, and I can't kind of knock it, because it's like, they benefit from it. And it's like, it's almost like if you had privilege, would you want to give that privilege up? Like, the victimhood mentality comes with perks.
Not that. It's just I always get labelled a racist by them, then it always ends up being an excuse that violence would be acceptable against me for something stupid.
Yeah.
And the other thing is I've not had many successful relationships with black people. Like, I've had loads of them, and they've always ended quite in the same way.
My friend Ian has
them,
that.
But a massive number of it. It's got to a point now where I just don't want to engage.
It's funny. My friend Ian has similar scenarios where, like, and it will always go from, like, real petty to them taking something real serious, where they'll, like, call him a white boy or something, and he'll be like, oh, white boy? Like, alright, quit being such a nigger. And they'll be like, what?
Yeah.
Oh my, I'm gonna fuck you up. And he's like, wait, you just called me that, so all I did was tit for tat, and now you wanna fight? You're not even worth being friends with. Like,
No, this happens all the time. And the other thing is, I'm going to sound even worse now. When I look at Indian culture, you look at Indian films, and you watch all the Indian stuff, don't like them, but I'm not threatened by it. When I look at Chinese culture, again, not really my cup of tea, I like the odd Kung Fu film, but not threatening. You look at any culture that comes here, most of them are kind of like, oh, they've got a kind of cool background. You do look at black culture these days, and you go, oh, shit.
What the fuck? Yeah, well, that's the other thing where I think, this whole idea in the schools where it's like, we can't give detentions to these kids. We can't do that. It sort of, like, insulates them from the idea, like, it's a cultural problem. Like, why would these kids be acting rebellious?
No, but whenever I get into debates with black people, they openly tell me that they can't be racist because they have no power. If you have no power, you must be weak. So you have the same ideology as the KKK.
Yeah.
And again, it's not all black people. I'd say it's like 95%. It's like a high. And a lot of my friends who are friends with black people just ignore these kind of conversations altogether.
Yeah.
The ones where the relationship works, it's just like there's just no. They just talk about football and stuff like that and Netflix and shit, which is fine.
The ones that
I do like politics, and whenever I talk, it's just it doesn't end well.
The ones where I have relationships where it works with them, they refer to black culture as niggerdom. That it's like a culture of just nonsense that's meant to entrap them and to hold them down. And that's what it is they don't realize that their culture has been sort of delivered to them by white supremacists to keep them in this. You know, my friend Cans, he's got a song, Crabs in a Barrel, that's all about the black community and how they don't support each other and how they will try to keep each other down because they don't want to see anyone succeed. Like, did I ever tell you the thing? A friend of mine, I think I may have mentioned this last time we talked, a friend of mine posted a meme of Michelle Obama saying, people don't trust the GOP because it's all white old men. So I sent him 2 pictures. I said, here are the Democrat primaries, all old, white, gray, career politicians. Basically what Michelle Obama is accusing the GOP of being. Here's the GOP. Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, Carly Fiorina, Ben Carson. I said you got 2 Hispanics, a woman, a black man, everyone from all different backgrounds. Everyone has different positions, this, and that. Like, there's room for that on the right wing. There's actual diversity on the right wing. On the left wing, it's this de facto communist social justice party, and if you don't toe that line, there's not even a place for you. And the first thing he says is, man, that coon Ben Carson, blah, 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 like immediately going after his blackness and trying to say, well, I have to invalidate the fact that he's black because it blows a hole in my entire argument. They have to invalidate the black people that basically don't act like niggas so that they don't realize acting like a nigga is what ends up getting you arrested and holding you back. And, you know, it's like, if you act not even white, but like a normal human being, like how Jews, Asians, white people, and everyone else acts, like there's a culture of success, basically. And black people don't want to hear that shit for the most part.
Well, we had this one guy that, I mean, I won't mention names, but if you have any kind of debate, even if it's not about race, I mean, this guy's black and from Texas, so he's also got the stereotypical where he's fucking loud.
Yeah.
Like, Americans are fucking loud compared to us. Not necessarily a bad thing, but it is when you're having, like, a delicate conversation.
Yeah.
And he goes, they're racist! They're racist, man!
Oh, man.
And he just screams it as loud as he can. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I don't even, you know, all that stuff is name calling. I think if you have to bring it to there, you don't even have an argument.
And now it's just got to the point where I'll be honest, I've become a racist. I just don't probably want a relationship with a black person again because it's just too easily.
That's part of what pushed me off Facebook is, you know, being around here, like once the fucking Black Lives Matter, Trayvon Martin, hands up, don't shoot, because the bulk of my Facebook friends are black, I was just like, I don't want to see this shit, because most of the shit I would see would be fuck white people, these white people this, white people that, even my mom the other day goes to me when we're in the car before that whole death penalty conversation when we're talking about the school shootings and stuff, and she goes, because the school, my niece's school, the one I went to, they had a shooting threat and they closed down for 2 days. Someone put out a list of kids, like a hit list, and I said right out, I said, you know that shit's fake, because in Poughkeepsie, if someone's going to get shot, they're going to get shot, and there's not going to be a social media posting or anything like that. This is the fucking hood. If you're going to shoot someone, you fucking shoot them. And my mom goes, well, you know, if there's a school shooting, it would actually happen in the surrounding districts because they're more, her word was affluent, but she meant white. And I said, why do you say that? And she's like, well, if you look at where these shootings are happening, I said, no. I said, the only one you've heard about is Parkland. I said, the reality is when it happens in a black school, they don't tell you about it, because it doesn't make for good ratings. The only school shootings the news media cares about telling you about are middle-class white kids. Dana Lash made that point where she said the news media, she said, you know, they didn't hold a town hall or there aren't marches for the hundreds of kids in Chicago getting shot, but you have one middle-class white school get shot and all of a sudden the whole world has to stop for them. Now, if it was a black person getting shot by a cop, well, the whole world would stop because it fits with the narrative.
But the thing that's weird is I'm outspoken about all communities to them. Like, I've got Muslim friends and I talk bad about Islam. I don't think they've ever once called me. I can't believe I'm giving credit to Islam. I don't think a Muslim's ever called me a racist.
Yeah.
I don't think it's ever got, like, and that's the thing is I say the treatment I get from black people is racist.
You got to realize. Well, I was going to say you got to realize it's like
I would
that.
never call them racist. I just think they're stupid.
Yeah, you got to realize it's that sort
now
of.
I'm a racist because I'm finding that a lot of the people I'm talking to that are black do actually have they do have IQ problems.
Well, it's
for their age.
It's a lot of it is a like the Alinsky kind of projection thing where it's always
it's not
you
just
know.
That, like I don't know if I'm being unfair because their IQ's so low they can't.
They can only handle simplifying things down to that's racist.
Even,
yeah.
Like just in life, their articulation and vocabulary is really low.
Well, yeah, and then just summing things up as that's racist.
Yeah, but that's his intellect.
Didn't do nothing. Like you know, yeah, it's easy for them. It's a good go-to that, you know, people, you know, white liberals will then put intellectual reasoning behind for them.
I mean, obviously I don't want to push my ideas on people too much, but I was even trying to help the guy out a lot. Like explain to him going, hey, look, I used to be dumb too. My IQ was really low. But like you're a kid in 35 now. Do you want some stuff that helped me get my IQ a lot higher? And like if you start watching it, your vocabulary will get better, your articulation will get better, how you express yourself. And he just wasn't interested in it. So I said, you should try stuff like the Joe Rogan podcast. You should try listening to Stefan Molyneux. Because with Stefan Molyneux, you've got 10,000 subjects. There's going to be subjects in there that help you.
Yeah.
And when I explain stuff, I'm explaining stuff that I've learned from there. Because he'll always say, even though I'm a racist, oh, you're so smart, oh, you're so intelligent, oh, you're too smart. It's like I'm really just repeating a lot of stuff and learning ideas from here. Why don't you give it a go? And he'll just be like, no, it's boring. It's like, I want to watch Netflix. It's like, yeah, this is... And also a lot of the art you listen to is sustained. Like I really... It's pretty rare I'd actually say, turn that music off. Like it is really bad, dude. And lyrically, it's bad. And same with all the art you'll watch. It's really degrading.
Speaking of which, you know what?
I think it's affecting you. Like I'm not saying it because I hate you. I'm
saying it because you care. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've really gotten into that I really like, you know, podcasts are one thing. Everyone's TV shows on YouTube are another thing. That you know, great things, and I love them. But let me tell you, Audible. I've been listening to more audiobooks walking to work than music lately, and Ben Shapiro's audiobooks especially are amazing. Because in a book, it's so well cited and sourced. Like, I've been listening to his one, Bullies, lately, about, you know, the left being bullies and stuff like that. And I mean, even Ann Coulter, all of her books are on Audible, so I've been listening to them. I got Ayaan Hirsi Ali's book the other day for like $6. I have a decent little audiobook collection right now, and I mean, the audiobooks are great. If you ever want to really like get into an issue, that's the way to go, because like I said, it's a lot more fleshed out, and it's, you know, you can go to it, pick it back up, and definitely check out the audiobooks for things, especially if you're not a big like reader. That's where I've been really gaining a lot of insight and information lately.
Yeah, well, all I got told was philosophy must be racist. And I was like, dude,
well, that's
at least try and listen to it.
Postmodernism
I'll
for
be
you.
Honest, Stefan Molyneux probably increased my IQ. Like, I was a lot dumber before I started listening to him.
Yeah.
I think it really did help. And also, I was saying it might make you employable as well. Like, it's got lots of videos about how to be employable in the free market. And I think it would help you if you got into work. Especially if you want to settle down with a woman that you keep telling me you want to do. I think a woman's going to go, black dude, it's already a bit risky. Don't have a job. And he was going, that's racist. I was going, no, that's how good women think.
Yeah.
Like, if you want a good woman, like you said, you're going to have an income, I think. Like, either work for yourself or you need to at least have a job or some kind of commitment.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you
And I'll
said,
be
a
honest,
job.
I don't think you're employable. Like, I think you might be suitable for like a betting shop would be really good for you because you'd actually be good at that. But yeah, I could help make you an employee. Like, I was trying to help him and stuff.
I was on, at my job, we have this thing that's like a warm line. It's not like a crisis line, but it's for, kind of things that aren't crises. I had this one guy call up asking me about relationship advice, and I mean, he's got some mental quirks. I wouldn't call them disabilities, but he's a guitarist, very, very passionate about his music and records and everything like that. And then he works at a supermarket, just collecting the carts. And he has got a probably 8 out of 10 Ukrainian girlfriend. And he got her because he's a passionate, motivated, driven person. Like, he doesn't think he matches her, and, my whole conversation was me just telling him, don't second guess it. You already got it. You got a good thing. You guys just had a little issue today, and you both agree it's behind you. Don't doubt things. Like, all right, you don't make as much as her. She appears to be fine with that, though. If she actually supports your music, that's great, because I know a lot of girls that will like showing off their rock star boyfriend and then will get mad when that, interferes with their time with them. He had it made, but like you said, it's that you're committed to something, you're creative. If you're working too, it doesn't even have to be a great job. Women will look at the totality of things.
No, but here's worse. He'll have a go at me saying, because we used to go out looking for women together, and he'd go, oh, you can't say what you say to women. It's like, but you're lying to them, dude.
Yeah.
I've got a job. It's like, you don't have a job, dude. It's like, I'm a music producer. It's like, again, we've had that one before. He doesn't know anything about music. And music's like one of the biggest things you can commit to.
Yeah.
Like any kind of art or anything. It's not about being art. It's about, you're committed to doing something and you produce something. And it takes a lot of muscle memory. It takes a lot of dedication. It takes a lot of looking at your work going, that shit, how can I make it better next time? And when he goes, I'm a music producer, it's like, it's just insulting, dude. Especially when he still doesn't get good women. It's like, well, you just told him you didn't have a job. It's like, well, I don't have a job, do I? Hide someone straight off the bat.
Yeah, shit like that. I don't
And then he'll
know.
have a go at women. He'll go, oh, these women weren't honest with me. Like, once it's 3 days into a date, oh, they said this about me. It's like, you did exactly the same, dude.
Yeah. That's always funny when people are complaining about someone else doing exactly what they do.
What they did, yeah. Like, the best one was when he called his girlfriend and goes, I don't like the way you dress slutty. They've been on like 4 dates. Like, all your Instagram photos are slutty, what the fuck? And then it's like, well, didn't you go out with her based on those Instagram photos?
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Can you see why I'm traumatized?
Yeah.
Like, I'm actually traumatized.
I can see why you'd just be like, all right, this is not worth the extra effort, because there's all this extra nonsense that it's going to come with it.
And I've actually become racist trying to be nice to black people, just be nice to people. It's just I've noticed when they're black, as soon as they realize you're a Trump supporter, that can be like, if you don't know them well, that's already a massive spanner in the works.
Yeah. Well, and you know what the worst thing is? I read this article. I'll probably do a solo video on it. And it was this article about a transgender kid who killed themselves. And like, the whole article was just, and this is the thing that bothers me about the whole transgender thing, is, I did one video where I broke down the idea gender is a social construct. Social construct is a scientific word for stereotype. So genders are just stereotypes, and it's all about what stereotype you feel you are and what stereotype you want to be. And I'm just like, when I was
I
growing
thought
up,
stereotypes were bad.
yeah, when I was growing up, I was told stereotyping people was bad. So you have this whole article about, the person, how they didn't fit in with this stereotype, and how the mom thought they were gay because they liked theater, and, stereotyped them as gay, but they were actually trans. So then they were trying to transition from one stereotype to the other. And, of course, they were getting a new house. What color did they want their room painted? Pink, because that's the girl stereotype. So it goes through all this nonsense, and then at the end, the kid kills themselves, getting nothing but support, being brought for hormone treatments and everything like that. And at the end of the article, the mom's like, all I can think about is, thank God they had a supportive family that did all of this for them. What about the kids that aren't getting the support? And all I can think is, I'm like, you gave all of that support, and they still killed themselves. Like, your lack of self-awareness, like, maybe this should be the red flag that this isn't how we deal with this problem. Like, maybe you should just tell the kid, you don't have to be someone else, just be yourself. Be yourself. Who cares about the stereotypes? Who cares if you're a girly boy or a boyish girl or a whatever? Like, it doesn't have to be that complicated. Why are we trying to define ourselves by stereotypes?
A lot of them are perfectly acceptable. Like the amount of times I've been in work from white people, black people, Muslim people, across the board, is the idea that Jews should be wiped off the planet. Like, you hear that all the time. And I would never dream of making it an issue or trying to get them fired for it.
Yeah.
I just laugh, joke along. But if you say anything, if I say anything bad, then all of a sudden, the world's got to stop.
Yeah.
And it happens all the time at work. It's like I have to explain about conversations I've had. And then the conversation they've told my boss is nothing like the conversation that actually went down. And then he goes, well, you shouldn't be talking about those topics. It wouldn't come up. It's like, well, everyone talks about the topics. The reason it's an issue is because someone twisted it and lied to you.
Yeah.
And they should be in trouble for lying. And the other thing is, do you know how much racist shit I hear every single day? I don't give a fuck. Well, how many times have I knocked on your door complaining about it? How many times? It's like, never. How many times have I ever brought it up? Never. So it's like, what? Do you see what I mean? It's like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I shouldn't even be in here explaining it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's
And
just
it gets to a point where I end up just losing my job every single time. And my boss will apologise, going, hey, sorry, but, let me give you some money. But I just don't want to get sued.
Yeah, well, that's the problem,
And
where
the
there's...
stuff they say to me is 100 times worse.
Yeah.
It's like you can sit next to old women that want to wipe out men. That does happen, where they're feminists. Like one woman I was sat next to, she was in her 60s. She was writing a book about a world where men got wiped out and how great it was. And then they'd complain about something I said about Islam.
Yeah, right?
It's like, so you can hate men, and I'm not a fan. I'm not getting in the face. I think it's ridiculous. But I'm not I'm still friends with her. I'm still friendly. I just good luck with her book. But then I say anything remotely to the wrong people, and it's I don't hear the end of it.
Well, that's the sort of social justice hierarchy thing where, certain people are allowed to do and say whatever, and other people, it's fucking, you can't say anything. It's the privileges. They're the privileged class. That's what it is. That's actual privilege. When you can get away with saying we should wipe Jews off, we should kill all men and all of that, and someone else says anything, 10 steps lower than that, and they're in trouble, you're the privileged group.